Welcome out to the show tonight, guys. This is Studio 321. This is your podcast host, Eddie B, coming at you from 321. So, CCOT prison in El Salvador. If you guys don't remember, I did a previous podcast on that. So if you haven't watched it, you should go back through my videos and watch it. It was actually on the prison itself. It's that Supermax prison down in El Salvador. The place is absolutely insane, man. It holds like 40,000 prisoners. You never really leave there. Once you're there, it's for gangbangers. It's how Bukele, who's the president of El Salvador, cleaned up that entire country. He basically arrested 70,000 gang members within a couple months period of time and put them all in jail. Completely cleaned up the country, dropped the crime rate by like 95%. They say it's amazing. But because it was actually at one time, it was the most dangerous country in the world. Now they say it's one of the safest in the Western Hemisphere. But anyways, did a phenomenal job down there, built this Supermax gigantic prison. I mean, they say it's like the size of 7 football stadiums. And on the video, the previous podcast I did, if you haven't seen it, you got to watch it because it'll show you the prison. But anyways, this is what I want to talk about today. So, this whole week, basically, they've had Kristi Noem, who's the Secretary of Homeland Security, down at CCOT prison in El Salvador. They showed her doing a tour of it, and they had some pictures of her doing video in front of like these giant cells with like hundreds of prisoners in them and stuff, and it's pretty intense, actually.
Here at CCOT today and visiting this facility. And first of all, I want to thank El Salvador and their president for their partnership with the United States of America to bring our terrorists here and to incarcerate them and have consequences for the violence that they have perpetuated in our communities. You come to our country illegally, this is one of the consequences you could face. First of all, do not come to our country illegally. You will be removed and you will be prosecuted. But know that this facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use if you commit crimes against the American people.
And again, if you see my video that I made, on my podcast, you'll see it because it shows a lot more about that prison. But anyway, so she's been down there a lot. And she's just basically talking, and they're putting this all over the news. And I was thinking to myself, why are they doing this right now? What is she doing down there? And I think I figured it out, and I'm going to share that with you tonight. So, obviously, we all know Trump's been trying to deport all these gangbangers, right?
President Trump's use of a rare wartime power facing a new legal test.
These are bad people that should have never been allowed into our country.
Today, Mr. Trump defended his administration's mass deportation policy, including the removal this month of alleged migrant gang members who were flown out and sent to an El Salvadoran prison under the Alien Enemies Act, which does not provide due process. The president says he declared members of the Venezuelan gang TDA as foreign terrorists subject to immediate expulsion.
We're getting the bad ones out first, and we're taking them out.
Today, a 3-judge federal appeals panel heard arguments as Trump administration lawyers seek to overturn Judge James Boasberg, who temporarily blocked deportation flights using the 18th century law.
The MS-13 guys, all those guys. He's trying to get them out of the country. But some liberal judges have blocked his progress. Well, they've actually slowed it down. They haven't blocked it yet, but they've slowed it down. The Democrats wanted to stop that, so they did some judge shopping. Well, so let me actually explain to you what judge shopping is if you don't know. So what happens is, and look, Republicans do it too, but not nearly as much as the Democrats. Basically, right now, the Democrats, all they have is judges to block Trump, so that's what they're trying to use. So what you do is, if you want to get something blocked that a conservative is doing, let's say, you judge shop and you find a judge around the country who is a liberal. Now, how would you know he's a liberal? Well, there's all these groups in the government, and I don't know what you call them exactly. They're like judge watchdog groups and legal watchdog groups, and what they do is they categorize judges. Are they a Republican? Are they a Democrat? How do their decisions normally come out? Are they like Green New Deal type of judges? Who do they donate money to? So, you can look at it's like a background sheet on these judges, right? So you can look at that and say, okay, well, this guy's pretty liberal judge. Well, so if I'm trying to stop something Trump's going to do, let's say that judge is in Massachusetts and I'm in DC, okay? So I'm going to go to Massachusetts and I'm going to file a case against Trump, whatever that case is, in that Massachusetts district. And now, it's not 100% guarantee that that judge is going to get it, but there's usually only a few judges in that particular district. So it's a good chance that he's going to get it. Now, I believe they have their little hokey ways of making sure he gets it, but that just, that's something that can't be proven. But so now we file the complaint in the liberal district with a liberal judge, and we pretty much guarantee that he's going to rule against a conservative, right? And so that's the way they do it. So they've done that all over the country on these deportations, trying to stop Trump from deporting all these gangbangers. Now, I don't see the logic in that. I don't see how there's any way you would ever think that the American people are going to be in favor of that. I mean, the cuckoos are, but no normal American wants those kind of people in the country. It's the Tren de Aragua guys. It's the MS-13 guys. I mean, these are some dangerous people. But anyways, so whatever, man. They're backing that up. That's their problem. But anyways, so I filed an injunction against Trump on that to try to stop the deportations. Well, the judge basically can put a hold on it until they do what's called like a judicial review. He wants to know more about it. So he puts a 2-week hold on it. That slows Trump down. He has to wait for a decision. So let's say at the end of that 2 weeks, the judge decides, I don't like it. You're not deporting these people. You've violated their rights. Okay. Well, then Trump can, or his administration can appeal that. Well, then it goes higher up the line. Well, let's say the appeals court does the same thing because they're in a liberal area. Now, growing up, I always thought all judges were the same. Down the line, believed in the law, like they were all the same. But I've learned, over following all this stuff, that that's not true at all. Okay, a lot of these judges are ideologues, they're opinion based, and they really ain't worried about the law. They just want to do it the way they want to do it, and it's pretty scary when you think about that, but that's just the way it is. So anyways, so to get the agenda stopped, it's got to move up to the appeals court, then maybe up to another appeals court. Then if he loses again, he goes to the Supreme Court, right? And that's the goal, because the Supreme Court is usually, it's not really a, it has a conservative lean right now, but a lot of I like to think it's the smartest of the smart, right? Those are the people who are going to make decisions pretty much based on, the Constitution and the law, not just what they think. And, sometimes it's a little questionable, but I think most of the time I'm right about that. So then it goes to the Supreme Court. Let's say they overturn the original judge's decision, and then Trump can go ahead and deport these people, right? But a lot of times the Democrats will file that in the liberal court system and go through this whole process knowing that they're going to lose, but they don't care about that. What they want to do, they know in the end Trump's going to get his way, right? Or whatever administration's going to get their way. But they're just trying to delay things right now, okay? Because remember, They want to delay until they get to the midterm elections, because if they can get some power back, win the House or win the Senate, then what happens is they can stop the Trump agenda by voting it down. But right now they can't, so they have to use judges. They call them activist judges. So that's always the goal for them right now. Okay, they've got like 12. I think they got like 12 lawsuits. They've got like 12 judges right now who have put the brakes on a lot of Trump's agenda. But to be honest with you, Trump expected that. His cabinet expected that. It happens, anytime conservatives try to get something done. So why is Kristi Noem down at CCOP prison right now? Well, then this ties in together with that. So we're kind of in a holding pattern right now. We can't really continue the deportations until we get this through to the Supreme Court, which it has been filed now, I believe, and we're just waiting on them to hear the case. But in the meantime, what do? Well, she goes down there and does these videos, right, in front of the Supreme Court, in front of the prison, and it's terrifying. And now, if you're a gangbanger, you do not want to end up in that prison. Okay, I'm telling you right now. I know gangbangers are tough, and you'd much rather go to prison in the United States. It's a different world down there. I don't care who you are here. You could be Big Shot and MS-13 up here, Trendewago up here, some other gang up here, whatever. When you go down there to that prison, you're going to fall in line in there, or they're going to kill you. There's none of that. There ain't no protective custody. There's none of that, right? So all the clout you get up here in the United States, when you go down to that prison, you don't have any more, okay? There's very few people who could walk in there as an inmate and kind of be in charge. There's a couple, but you'd have to be super high up in those organizations to be able to walk in there and take control of stuff. But anyway, so she's down there doing this, and I'm telling you, I was watching this, and it reminded me, if you remember the old show that used to be on called Scared Straight, where they would bring these kids into the prisons and show it to them, and try to scare them out, try to straighten them up, keep them out of trouble. That's what it reminded me of. I'm watching her do this video down there, and I'm thinking, man, if I'm a gangbanger watching that, I'm like, I'm gonna leave. And this is what they're basically saying. Kristi Noem and the Trump administration is saying, if you go ahead and deport yourself right now, just leave our country, okay, and you're a gangbanger, then you just leave, no problem. But if we arrest you, okay, and you're a gangbanger, you might end up in CCOP prison in El Salvador, because what's happening is Bukele has made a deal with the Trump administration because he has a lot of room in that prison down there that's not being used. So he has offered us to pay a certain amount per year per prisoner that we send down there, and he will house the prisoners in his prison from Trendewago and MS-13. Now, you can't send an American citizen down there, okay, because they have constitutional rights. But a lot of these illegals are in those gangs. So basically, they're basically telling them, look, you deport yourself, you can just leave. But if we arrest you and you're an illegal and you're a gangbanger, we're going to send you to CCOP prison in El Salvador, which they have done already. They've already sent I think 400 people down there. And man, let me tell you, like I said, I did a previous podcast on this prison. It's it's a beautiful facility. We'll say that. Looks super clean, but man, you'll see, if you watch the other video, you'll see what I'm talking about. You don't want to go there, man. It's not like our prisons, man. You ain't got a weightlifting yard. You ain't got, you ain't got all that. You sit in these giant cells that remind me of a bird cage. There's looks like 200 people in a cell, and you live in there all day. That's it. That's what you do. And they say the people down there are never leaving, and they're all gangbangers, and they all say, I saw some interviews and they talked to them guys, and man, that's not where you want to go. So I believe it's like the Scared Straight tactics. They're just trying to tell these people, look, get yourself out of our country, because if we take care of it, you're going to this big prison. And they don't say that exactly, but when she's doing that interview down there, you can see it, you know. And I'm like, yeah, man. And that's what I was trying to get back to with. It's like 4-dimensional thinking, man. I swear, it's super smart. Like, okay, you're going to slow us down now on the deportations, and that's okay. We know it's coming by law, so we're going to fight that in court. But while that's happening, we're going to do this to get the people to go ahead and deport themselves, you see? And that's, you know, it's just super smart, man. It's creative thinking. And, you know, I like it, to be honest. I think it's a good move. And I tell you, I don't understand. You know, everybody picks a side in politics, right? I don't understand how anybody thinks stopping these deportations is the winning side. It's not. These people are the worst of the worst, man. Murderers, hardcore drug dealing gangbangers. Like, these dudes are dangerous. And you don't want them in America infecting the country, man, because they will spread. They will, you know. But yeah, so if you get a chance, check out my other video, and you know, it's a good one, and it'll tell you a lot about the prison. But yeah, I just wanted to put this out there tonight. The judge shopping thing's pretty crazy. I know that right now they're working on legislation to limit the power of district judges in America against, because again, this is like a loophole. You know, they file all these lawsuits in all these districts around the country to stop the president's move, right? But think about this. What that really says, let's say, because right now, without the law being changed, let's say we needed to go to war, okay, and the president decided he was going to declare war on some country. Well, some judge down in Nebraska could say, nah, I don't think so. We're not doing it. And right now, it would stop it. Now, that's an extreme example, but the point is, a judge somewhere in the country, in some district, should not be able to, usurp the will of the entire administration, because the administration represents 77 million people. So, you're saying that, you know, one judge somewhere in some corner of some state, some liberal state somewhere, can, you know, just shut everything down that we want to do. That's not democracy. And truth be told, it shouldn't be able to be done on the other side either. You know, they both judge shop, but again, it's nothing on the Republican side like it is on the Democrats, because that's all they have right now. They're judge shopping every single thing and trying to shut down every single thing by finding some liberal activist judge. But anyways, guys, if you like my video, please like and subscribe. Remember, I'm on Rumble too. I got some cool videos out there. If you haven't seen my CCOT prison video yet on here, you need to check it out. I'm telling you, it's cool. It'll tell you all about it, and it's an insane place. But anyways, guys, thanks. I'll talk to you soon. Steady from 321 Studio 321. Have a good night. Talk to you later.